Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another edition of 25 Days, 25 Gripes, in which we cover annoying ass people and their annoying ass habits. I'm your host, Mr. P, and on today's episode 5, we're taking a look at parents and how most of their problems are preventable in the first place by merely paying more attention in sex ed class. Now, I would think that this is one of the subjects that hits home harder for certain people than others. But my angst towards this particular first world problem that doesn't involve me is primarily divided into two halves, and they're loosely connected the same way a Quentin Tarantino movie might be. Teen parents and parents who have children and end up complaining about everything they have to do for that child. And as stated in episode 0, this isn't meant as a direct shot at anybody in particular, but I'm also expecting a fair amount of disgust over this episode simply because of the amount of 20-somethings who have had children well before they were ready. But I just thought it was important to differentiate between a child or children being born from parents that have a head on their shoulders and careers, and then having a child just because you can, or if you always wanted a family, so the first chance you get to reproduce, that's exactly what you do. And I wouldn't have so much a problem with people having children as much as I do once they have children and then they complain about 8 million things that are easily preventable in the first place, that any asshole with a brain can detect the issue within the complaint. And of course, there's always those people who don't know what the fuck they want and they just complain to complain. For instance, a post on Facebook that's very popular amongst the lonely mom community, in which it's basically just being a mom is so hard. All day it's very isolating and you never get any company. But then in the same breath, you're complaining about it's very draining to deal with a child and you never get any alone time or you never get any time of peace to yourself and peace and quiet. Motherfucker, whose choice was it to do that? Also, it's one or the other. Either parenting is either too lonely or too isolating because most of your friends are smart enough to realize that they aren't ready for children at that age, or you can never get a moment's peace to yourself because I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Kids require a lot of fucking time and attention, not to mention money. All the money. And the second bigger gripe is the parents who think that they deserve a Nobel Peace Prize for just merely doing the job that they signed up to do. And when you're the child, forget about it, because you can never have an opinion for yourself without being deemed an unruly child who talks back. And then a lot of parents actually love when their kids voice their own opinions, because then it gives them the chance to throw shit in their face that they did for them forever ago that normal parents would just do anyway without any strings attached to it. Well, you don't know the amount of sacrifices that I made for you. Do you remember the one time that I brought you home from work? Or the other time that I made dinner? Or how about the time that I took you to the emergency room when you were throwing up at 3 o'clock in the morning? That deserves some praise. Or one of my personal favorites. I brought you into this world and I can take you out of it just as easily. Everything you do in this life is because of me. Okay, so if that's the case, can I just forward you my student loan bill with tens of thousands of dollars attached to it since that's all just because of you? I was even having this conversation the other day with somebody in the boomer age group, let's call it, the fashionable age group to oppress other people. And he essentially said, oh, I'm okay financially, but if I didn't have the children that I have, I'd be worth so much more money. It's like, okay, asshole, then don't have kids and just sit on your millions of dollars and be Donald Trump. I don't give a shit, but don't complain when you have to do things that you signed up to do. You can also tell which parents have just fucking had it in situations such as the doctor's office and the grocery store, in which they let their kids just run around and do whatever they want. I think that's more of a thing in today's day and age, not to sound like that typical, oh, when I was younger. But I feel as if the tablets and smartphones to raise children on is sort of throwing up the flag and saying, I give up. Because essentially, at least in prior generations, there was regulation for technology on the television or consoles even. You could just say, okay, you're done playing. But if you just hand a kid a phone or a tablet and say, okay, go occupy yourself, I don't want to deal with you, who knows what the fuck they're looking up, or the amount of content that they access, and a lot of times those kids end up becoming monsters. That's why it cracks me up whenever I hear, I'm gonna spoil my kid and let them do whatever they want and make sure they don't grow up worrying about a thing. Okay, alright, good luck with that when they're 16 years old talking about, well, I'm taking the fucking car and you can't do a thing about it, Dad. What about any of you guys? Do you want kids? Please tell me there's at least a plan thought out if you do. Do you think your parents deserve a gold star for not charging you in rent after you turn 18? I hope you guys enjoyed the show. On tomorrow's episode, our target is old people and the cardiac arrest that they experience when you handle a situation as if it isn't 1984 anymore. Thank you very much for listening, and as always, if you're liking what I'm spewing, please like and subscribe.